Hey everyone, welcome back to another session of carbon and its compound. In our previous session, we have already understood about functional groups, rules of nomenclature, and we have discussed IUPAC names for alkenes, alkynes, and halogens, that is chloro, fluoro, bromo, or iodo group. Now in today's session, I will be discussing IUPAC naming of alcohols, aldehyde, ketones and carboxylic acid. But before I start my session, I would like to request you all to kindly subscribe my YouTube channel and keep me motivated. So let's begin our session. So first of all, we will see the nomenclature or naming of the alcohol. Now, as in our previous session, we have already understood that alcohol is a kind of functional group. It is a kind of functional group. Functional groups are an atom or a group of atom which gives new chemical properties to a compound or a molecule, to a compound. Okay, now how we can say that alcohol is present? The identification of alcohol is OH group. This is the functional group here. This is OH. This is its identification. Okay, and whenever we are naming an alcohol, we will be using a suffix, that is the last part of the name will be OL. We will be adding OL by replacing E. Like for example, if it is any kind of alkane, okay, if we are going to add alcohol in an alkane, so in the naming what will happen? From the word alkane, the E will be dropped and we will be attaching L at the last. Okay, I'll tell you in the example. Now this is first example, CH3OH. So our first thing is to identify or to choose longest carbon chain. Okay, this is our first step. These steps we have already discussed in my previous video. So in this, obviously there is only one carbon, so we will be giving numbering to this carbon. If we will start from here, from front to back, this is the first carbon. Okay, when we are doing the numbering from the back, then also this is the first carbon. So obviously this is the only carbon here. Right, so the number of the carbon is 1. So for 1, the root word is meth. So we are writing meth. Okay, this is an alkane, so we will be writing AN. Okay, but instead of adding E, we will be adding the suffix of alcohol group. OH is the identification of alcohol. OH is telling that this carbon containing compound is having alcohol in it. So we will be using the word OL. So OH is attached to the first carbon. So we can write 1 ol. The suffix ol we will be using, or the simple name will be methanol. 1 is never shown or written. You can say, now in this one we are having 2 carbons. So if we are doing numbering from front to back, this is the first carbon, this is the second carbon. If we are doing the numbering from back to front, this is the first carbon, this is the second carbon. So in all, this chain is having 2 carbon, 1 and 2 carbon, and the root word for that is eth. So it is an alkane, so we will again write AN, but we will not write E, because instead of E we will have to attach the suffix OL, because it is an alcohol containing compound. So now we will have to decide that which side, that is front to back numbering we are going to choose, or from back to front numbering we are going to choose? Because the functional group should get least numerical value. Functional group should get least numerical value. Okay, we always try to give it the least number, either 1 or 2, okay, if possible. So now from back to front numbering, OH group is attached to first carbon, right? When we are doing from front to back, OH group is attached to second carbon. So obviously we are going to take this numbering. So it will be eth 1 all, or in other words we can also write it as ethanol simply. Now here in this case there are 3 carbon. If you are doing front to back, this is the first, this is the second carbon, this is the third carbon. Okay, so OH is attaching with the third carbon in this type of numbering. When we are doing numbering from back to front, then this is the first carbon, this is the second carbon, then and it is the third carbon. So in back to front numbering, OH is coming with first carbon. So obviously we are going to take this numbering back to front. So it is having 3 carbon. The root word for 3 carbon is prop. It is an alkane, so we are writing PAN, but we will not write E. Instead of E we will be writing OL, the suffix of alcohol. Okay, again it can be written as propan 1 all. That is also correct. Okay, now let's see in this example. In this example there are 3 carbon, so obviously the root word will be prop. It is an alkane because it is everywhere it is single bond you are seeing. So instead of E we are going to write all. So we will do the numbering. If we are doing the numbering from front to back, this is the first carbon, this is the second carbon, this is the third carbon. If we are doing numbering from back to front, then this is the first carbon, this is the second carbon, then this is the third carbon. So in either ways at position 2 the alcohol is coming. So it is your choice. I will be taking front to back. So at 2 position the alcohol is coming. So prop 2 all, or you can also write it as 2 propanol. Number 2 is telling us the position of alcohol or the functional group alcohol here. Now in this one again OH is there, so it is an alcohol, so suffix will be all. You will have to see the number of the carbon atoms. From front to back numbering, this is the first carbon, this is the second carbon, this is the third carbon, this is the fourth carbon. If you are doing numbering from back to front, this is the first carbon, this is the second carbon, this is the third carbon, this is the fourth carbon. So alcohol is coming at 1 position in backward counting. And if you are taking front to back counting, alcohol is coming at 4th position. Right, so obviously we will have to give the least number, so we will be taking the backward counting. So it will be at number 1 position. So 4 carbons are there, so root word will be bute. Okay, now position of alcohol is 1, so 1 all. Here AN we will be adding AN, and E we will be not writing because instead of E we will be attaching OL, so the name will become butanol. Right, so you will have to just keep in mind that when you are attaching the suffix all, E should not be there. Okay, you will have to drop E, replace the terminal E from the name of the corresponding alkane by the suffix OL, all. Okay, and how to identify? If you are seeing presence of the OH, it means it is an alcohol. Now you will have to identify the longest carbon chain. Second, you will have to give the least numerical value to alcohol group or the functional group. Now let's start with the next functional group. The next functional group is aldehyde. Now in aldehyde, This is a general formula. R means the chain. Everywhere the R means this whole formula basically. Okay, and CHO is the group. CHO, or instead of CHO we also write this as a functional group, where C is attached one side with the H, other side it is attached with the carbon chain. This side there is a carbon chain here, and there is a double bond O. So this is the identification of aldehyde group. If you are seeing it, it means there is a presence of aldehyde group. Okay, so whenever we are attaching aldehyde, we are using suffix which is Al. Okay, so same, you will have to drop E from alkane. This E will be dropped, and instead of this E we will be attaching the suffix Al. Now again, the first step is to choose the number of the carbon atoms or the chain which is having the maximum number of carbon in it. Here we are having only one carbon, so obviously it will be meth An, but we are not going to write E because we will be attaching the suffix Al. So it is having only one carbon, so you can simply write 1Al, or you can also mention it as methanol. Okay, now here if you see this one, it has got two carbon. This is the first carbon, this is the second carbon. If you are doing front to back numbering, if you are doing numbering from back to front, this is the first carbon, this is the second carbon itself, so it is present here. So it has got two carbons, so you will be writing eth An. Instead of E you will be writing L, so you can also write it as ethanol. Okay, now here in this case that there are three carbons, so obviously the root word will become prop for 3 carbon. Now if you are doing numbering from this side, 1 2 3, so it is coming at first position. If you are doing it from 1 2 3, so this group is coming at third position. Your aim is to choose or to give least numerical value, so you will be doing numbering from this side, that is back to front. So here prop N 1 al, or you can also write it as propanol simply. Okay, now in our other example, this one here, we are having 1 2 3 4 carbon. If you are doing from back to front, this is the first carbon, this is the second carbon, this is the third carbon, this is the fourth carbon. If you are doing from front to back, then this is the first, this one is second, this one is fourth. So aldehyde group, you will have to give the least numerical value, so we will be taking this numbering. So there are 4 carbons, so the root word will be but. It is an alkane, so you will be writing An, and you will be mentioning 1Al, that is butanol. They are mostly present at the terminals, that is on the last of the chain. So they are usually having 1 as their numbering or the placement. Now let us go to our next functional group, which is ketone. Ketone, it is very easy to identify a ketone because ketone is always present in the center of the chain or in between carbon atoms. Okay, both sides. This R is also showing us a chain of carbon atom, chain of carbon atom, and this R is also telling us chain of carbon atom. So it is always present in the center of the chain or in between chain anywhere. It is not a terminal group, so it is very easy to identify. It is never in terminal. It is always in between the chain. So this is the functional group C double bond O, and both the side it is open, that is both the side we are having the carbon chain. if this group is present, ketone group, you will be always be writing the suffix ONE, that is you will be dropping the E from the alkane again. Okay, so in this example you are seeing there are 3 carbon. This is the first carbon, this is the second carbon, this is the third carbon. If you are doing numbering from here 1 2 3, so in either of the numbering, the position of the ketone is always at number 2. So there are 3 carbons, so the root word will become prop. Now it is an alkane, so you will be writing AN, and you will be writing it here as 2, the position of the ketone, and then you will be writing ONE1, which is the suffix. Instead of E of the alkane, you will be attaching this ONE1, or you can also write it as 2-propanone. 2-propanone. Here in this case there are 4 carbon. This is the first carbon, second carbon, third carbon, fourth carbon. If you are doing numbering from back to front, if you are doing numbering from front to back, then this is the first carbon, this is the second carbon, this is the third carbon, this is the fourth carbon. So here you are seeing that from back to front numbering, this carbon which is having the ketone group is coming at position 2. So you will be writing but, the root word for the 4 carbon. This is an alkane, so you will be writing AN, then you will be writing the position number 2, and then you will be writing ONE, or you can simply write 2-butanone. The number 2 is telling the position of the ketone group. Now in our next example, there are carbon 1 2 3 4 5. There are in total 5 carbon. This is back to front numbering, from front to back. First carbon, second carbon, third carbon, fourth carbon, fifth carbon. So there are 5 carbon, so it will become pent, and it is an alkane, so AN, but you are not going to write E. Instead of that, you will be mentioning ONE, depending upon the position of the ketone group. So this is the ketone group here. So in front to back counting, the ketone group is coming at number 4. But from back to front counting, that is in this counting, it is coming at number 2. So obviously we are going to take the backward one. So we will be writing pentuone, or you can simply write 2-pentanone. Right. Now let us see the next example here. Yes, this one. Now in this one there are 1 2 3 4 5 carbon. This is back to front numbering. We can also do front to back numbering, 1 2 3 4 5. So in either ways, at number 3 the ketone group is coming, right? So total number of the carbon are 5 pent. It is an alkane, so ANE. So you can write 3-ONE, or you can also write 3-pentanone. Right. So now let us go to the next functional group. The next functional group will be carboxylic acid. So this is the carboxylic acid. Now the carboxylic acid, how you are going to identify it? Its general formula is RCOOH. Now this COOH is basically the functional group, and R is the chain of carbon atom, right? So this is the functional group. You will have to identify if you are seeing COH and double bond O, or in short it is also called as COOH, then this is a carboxylic acid group. Okay, so whenever you are seeing this functional group COH or double bond O or COOH, then you will be adding a suffix OIC, oic acid, and you will be replacing the E from the alkane. So now in this example, which is here, let me just open the example table. Yes, now here you are seeing that there is only one carbon. So the root word will become meth, right? And AN of alkane, but you are not going to write E. Okay, now this is the first carbon. So obviously there you are seeing the presence of the carboxylic acid group. So you will write 1 oic acid. Or in short, you are going to write 1 methanoic acid. Or there is no need to write even 1 here. You can simply write methanoic acid. Okay, you can remove it also. Now in this example there are 2 carbon from front to back. This is the 1, 2. This is back to front numbering from front to back, first and second. So obviously we are going to take this side numbering because we will have to give the least possible number. So it is eth, then A and N, 1 position, oic acid. Or we can simply write 1 ethanoic acid. Okay, now in this one you are seeing there are 3 carbon from back to front numbering. This is the first carbon, this is the second carbon, this is the third carbon. From front to back, this is the first carbon, this is the second carbon, then this is the third carbon. So in this numbering back to front, at first carbon the carboxylic group is coming. Total number of carbon 1, 2, 3. So root word will become prop. It is an alkane because between carbon there are single bonds between carbon and carbon. So AN. Now E you are not going to write. You will be mentioning the position of the oic acid. So 1 oic acid. Or simply you can write propanoic acid. There is no need to mention 1. Propanoic acid, right? Here also you can remove this one. Now in this one there are 4 carbon, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the backward, from back to front counting. From front to back counting, this is the first carbon, this is second carbon, this is fourth carbon. So total number of carbon are 4. So but will be the root word. Between carbon there are single bonds, so obviously it will be AN, and instead of E you will be mentioning the position of the carboxylic acid. So in back to front counting, at 1 it is coming, from front to back it is coming at number 4. We always choose the lowest number, so we will be taking this type of numbering back to front. So it will become 1 oic acid. Or you can simply write butanoic acid. Okay, so in this way we are doing the nomenclature. It is a very simple examples which I have explained to you here. Although in a single carbon chain we can have more than one functional group, we can have combination of functional group as well as double or the triple bond. But that IUPAC naming, for that IUPAC naming there is a preference table also, which is not a part of class 10th course, although I will try to give you more examples in my next video. So right now for today, this is the ending of our session, and please go through the nomenclature. I have tried to explain it in very simple words to you. Thank you.